Hello students, today we will study English literature of class 7 and we will continue with the same chapter 0R. So students, before continuing the next paras of this chapter, I want to remind you again the correct pronunciation of this word S-E-W-E-R. The correct pronunciation is sewer, not sewer, and it means drainage. Okay, so let's start with our paras. 23rd para. That was all did he know for sure. Neither of the men had said who was going on the first trip to the moon, but Bobby knew father would go. He would have to. After all, father was the second biggest scientist at Buffalo Flats, second only to the Professor Schleimer himself, who was very old and would not make the trip. That left father. There probably wasn't anybody else smart enough to go on this mission. So, only this information he got after listening the conversation between two scientists. So continuously 3 days he went to the Buffalo Flats or laboratory and he overheard that the rocket will go to moon. Okay, so after listening the conversation between two scientists, neither of the men had said who was going on the first trip to the moon. But Bobby was sure that his father would definitely go because his father was second biggest scientist at Buffalo Flats, second at the number after Professor Schleimer. And Professor Schleimer was very old and would not be able to make the trip. So only his father was left. Even there was not anybody else smart enough to go on this mission. 24th para. The idea of going himself had been born the previous day when he found a larger grating. As I have already told you the meaning of grating, a hole or the metal frame like which is used in the window to cover, that is grating in the floor near the rocket, and realized that if he was very careful he could climb out of the sewer, means drainage, and duck into the rocket when nobody was looking. Once inside, he was quite sure he would find a place to hide until blast off. So the idea popped up the previous day in a Bobby's mind to go to the moon. When he found the big grating in the floor near the rocket, and also he realized that if he was careful enough, then he could climb he could climb or come out of the sewer and hide himself in the rocket when no one was watching him. And once he will be inside the rocket, he was very sure that he would definitely find a place to hide until the rocket take off. Now 25th para. At first, thinking about it, he had been scared, but after he realized how proud his parents would be, he made up his mind. So at first he was very scared to go to the moon. But after that, he realized that his parents would be proud of him when they will know that his son has gone to the moon. So he made up his mind to go to the moon. 26th para. Taking a deep breath, he opened the grating and got out. It was only 4 steps to the open port of the rocket. There was a little ramp port. The left side of the rocket means there is open side of the rocket. Okay, that or the rocket or any spacecraft from where he can jump in the rocket. And there was little ramp they had used to roll the things in, and Bobby's feet touched it lightly as he jumped into the ship. He found himself in some kind of a storeroom. It would be a good place to hide. All right. It was full of aluminum barrels, all the same size. He found a space between 2 rows and sat down and got his breath back. It was very quiet around him, very scary quiet, but he set his lips firmly. So, taking a deep breath, he opened the grating and came out. It was just 4 steps to the open side of the rocket. There was little ramp means slope, little slope for the things they could roll in, or for the things they could take inside the rocket. And Bobby jumped into the ship and found himself in a storeroom. It would be a nice place to hide, Bobby thought. And it was full of aluminum barrels, which were of the same size. So he found the space between these two aluminum barrel rows and sat between them, and he was very nervous. Everything was so quiet, means silent around him. It was a kind of very scary silence, means very pin drop silent. But he held his lips tightly so that he may not utter a word or not murmur a word because of nervousness. Okay, students? Now, 27th para, he was going to the moon with father, and he was feeling excited, happy also that he was going to the moon with his father. 28th para, John Kendall was a little late at that night. His father, John Kendall, Bobby's father, he greeted his wife and said, "Well, Myra, the wife of John Kendall and the mother of Bobby. Please remember this, students. Well, Myra, did you see the big skyrocket?" So, John Kendall, Bobby's dad, came little late that night and greeted his wife, maybe good evening or something else, and said, "Well, Myra, did you see the big skyrocket?" Now, 29th para. "How could I miss it, dear? Your supper is in the oven." Now, Myra said, wife of John Kendall. Myra said, "How could I miss it, dear husband? Your supper, means dinner, is in the oven." 30th para. John lay back in his easy chair and closed his eyes. "We had hoped to stage a little ceremony at launching, but Washington said no. Washington said simply light the fuse and fire the things. Washington, the government of the USA. Okay? So, John sat in his easy chair and closed his eyes and said, we were thinking to organize or arrange little ceremony at the launch of this rocket. But Washington, the government of the USA, said to light a firework, do a little firework, not much pomp and show, means not a big ceremony. That's why Washington did not want a big pomp and show, not a big ceremony. That's why he said to light little firework, do little firework or burn crackers, something like that, students. Okay? Now, 31st para. Is it still a big secret? Now, Myra asked to John Kendall, is it still big secret? So students, I will stop here, and rest of the paras we will continue in the next video. Thank you, students.